Good morning, everybody. Time for our weekly edition of Coffee Shop Thursday. So make sure, no matter where you are now, you have your beautiful cup of coffee in front of you. Good wake-up call. Good wake-up call. You know, whenever we do these Coffee Shop Thursdays, it really isn't to be a big show-off and a braggart. It's to bring to light some little nuances that we find in the scriptures that often we don't see. And I know a lot of times they're technical, but I'd like to share those with you because they're a lot of fun. And you know something? Pastors, Bible study leaders, they shouldn't keep all that stuff to themselves. They should share that with everybody. So I hope you're having fun with that. And I think we'll have a little fun with today's because I have two of them I want to share with you from the Apostle Paul from the reading in Romans we have this week for Sunday. They're pretty important. One is very important, I think, and it touches on a theological issue that kind of strikes home for a lot of people. And the other one's just a plain fun type of thing. So maybe we should do the serious one first. Some of you may at home have a t-shirt, you might have a greeting card, you might have a plaque on the wall that reads, "All things work together for good for those who love God." Right? Straight from Paul, right? Well, no. When they talk about disputed verses in the Bible, they're not talking all the time, although sometimes they do. They talk about whether it should be in there or not. Was it really a part of what Paul said? Is it really a part of Scripture? Did somebody add it in later? No, this time it's, how do we translate this thing? It's a little awkward in the way that it's written in the Greek, and so you end up having a couple of translations that really, by what a lot of scholars now are saying, isn't quite correct. Let's put it this way. All things work together for good. How many times have we said that to someone that's going through a very trying time? Maybe it's they lost their job because of the coronavirus. Maybe they lost a family member or a good friend because of the virus. Or maybe the good friend or family member just passed away because of illness. Oh, all things work together for good. Just hang in there. It's part of God's plan, And those platitudes that we kind of throw out there, let me tell you, they end up so empty in the ears of those who are in pain. Because how can a good and gracious God do this to me, they think. And I think that's something we all think at times. And it can come from looking at a verse like this that says, all things work together for good. How can my good friend, my parent, my spouse dying be a good thing? How can that work toward a good thing? All right. So now here's the issue with that verse. If you're an English major, you understand what I'm saying right now. You have subject, right? Predicate, nominative, accusative cases, first, second, and third person, singular, plural, all that kind of stuff. In this verse, it doesn't add up when you translate it that way. When you say all things work together for good, all things is in the accusative case, which means it's the object of the sentence, not the subject. It's the object. And also the verb work together is third person singular, not plural. So nothing adds up when you translate it that way. It adds up perfectly when you put a conditioner in there. The conditioner that's based on what comes before and after in this passage. And that conditioner is God. The subject matter in the verse before and after, both times, is God. So when you add in God, it all comes together and it works together. Oh, it all works together? Yeah, for good, and it does. God works together all things for good for those who love Him. Now all of a sudden, you see where the whole issue of why would God do a thing like this to me? It's not saying that God did it. It's saying God can take the worst things that happen in your life and work with them and mold you into a person who can handle it, a person who can take it, who can move their way through the pain and the suffering and the tragedy and move on to better things. God works together all things for good. He can do it. That's what the Apostle Paul was doing. So if you read the entire Bible passage before and after and this one in context, you see that's the point he's trying to get across. In the midst of our pain, our suffering, our difficulties, God is there for you and for me. God can work together all these things and bring us hope, comfort, peace, you name it. All right? So it's kind of an important thing. And I'll be honest with you, both the King James Version and the New Revised Standard Version, I think they get it wrong. I just don't think they have it right. And I'm in agreement with many other scholars now who say we really need to change that. It's just not right. Now, the fun one. The Apostle Paul. He was a brilliant scholar. I mean, he had great command of many different languages, one of them being classical Greek, in which he would make reference to every now and then, although the Bible is basically written in Koine Greek, was like the common language. So he's writing away, and he's in this part of Scripture that we're at now, and he goes, all this bad stuff that's happening around us, what the difference is? The difference is God. It's a God who makes us more than conquerors. More than conquerors. Only more than conquerors for Paul is one word. For us, it's 3 words. We are more than conquerors. We're not just conquerors. We're more than conquerors. Well, guess what? There's no one word for more than conquerors. So it appears, as best we can tell, that Paul created a new Greek word. He put the word hyper, actually it was hooper in the Greek, hyper before conquer. We are hyper conquerors. He made it just one, he kind of made it up. Why do we think he made it up? Because we can't find it any other place. We have no other instance of hyper conquerors. It'd be as if somewhere along the line somebody made up the word Superman, right? Put super and man together. Superman. Well, Paul did it with conquerors. We're not just conquerors. We're hyper conquerors. We're super conquerors. Makes us all powerful people, doesn't it? But remember, the reason we're hyper, super conquerors is through His love and His grace bestowed upon us. He's the one, once again, that gives us the ability to rise above all the awful circumstances in our lives. Just a couple of things you can share with your coffee club people. Hopefully you're able to every now and then get out and have a nice time together. But please, please stay socially distanced from one another, because especially when you're sitting down and having a breakfast and coffee, you don't have your mask on. So you need to maintain that social distancing, and that's so very important in these days, because when we do that, that's part of becoming super conquerors of this awful virus that's circulating right now. And God can help us do just that. Blessings be with you. Remember Jesus' incredible love for you, and be sure, I don't know if I should be saying this, spread a little bit of that love around. God's blessings be with you.